How far do you have to be pushed to take your own life? If you are reading this, it means that I've committed suicide and obviously failed to delete this post from my queue. Please don't be sad, it's for the better. The life I would have lived isn't worth living in, because I'm transgender. I could go into detail explaining why I feel that way, but this note is probably going to be lengthy enough as it is. To put it simply, I feel like a girl trapped in a boy's body, and I've felt that way ever since I was 4. I never knew there was a word for that feeling, nor was it possible for a boy to become a girl, so I never told anyone, and I just continued to do traditionally boyish things to try to fit in. When I was 14, I learned what transgender meant and cried of happiness. After 10 years of confusion, I finally understood who I was. I immediately told my mom, and she reacted extremely negatively, telling me that it was a phase, that I would never truly be a girl, that God doesn't make mistakes, that I am wrong. If you are reading this, parents, please don't tell this to your kids. Even if you are Christian or are against transgender people, don't ever say that to someone, especially your kid. That won't do anything but make them hate themselves. That's exactly what it did to me. My mom started taking me to a therapist, but would only take me to Christian therapists who were all very biased, so I never actually got the therapy I needed to cure me of my depression. I only got more Christians telling me that I was selfish and wrong and that I should look to God for help. When I was 16, I realized that my parents would never come around and that I would have to wait until I was 18 to start any sort of transitioning treatment, which absolutely broke my heart. The longer you wait, the harder it is to transition. I felt hopeless, that I was just going to look like a man in drag for the rest of my life. On my 16th birthday, when I didn't receive consent from my parents to start transitioning, I cried myself to sleep. I formed a sort of fuck you attitude towards my parents and came out as gay at school, thinking that maybe if I eased into coming out as trans, it would be less of a shock. Although the reaction from my friends was positive, my parents were pissed. They felt like I was attacking their image and that I was an embarrassment to them. They wanted me to be their perfect little straight Christian boy, and that's obviously not what I wanted. So they took me out of public school, took away my laptop and phone, and forbid me of getting any sort of social media, completely isolating me from my friends. This was probably the part of my life when I was the most depressed, and I'm surprised I didn't kill myself. I was completely alone for 5 months, no friends, no support, no love, just my parents' disappointment and the cruelty of loneliness. At the end of the school year, my parents finally came around and gave me my phone and let me back on social media. I was excited. I finally had my friends back. They were extremely excited to see me and talk to me, but only at first. Eventually they realized they actually didn't give a shit about me, and I felt even lonelier than I did before. The only friends I thought I had only liked me because they saw me 5 times a week. After a summer of having almost no friends, plus the weight of having to think about college, save money for moving out, keep my grades up, go to church each week, and feel like shit because everyone there is against everything I live for, I've decided I've had enough. I'm never going to transition successfully. Even when I move out, I'm never going to be happy with the way I look or sound. I'm never going to have enough friends to satisfy me. I'm never going to have enough love to satisfy me. I'm never going to find a man who loves me. I'm never going to be happy. Either I live the rest of my life as a lonely man who wishes he were a woman, or I live my life as a lonelier woman who hates herself. There's no winning. I don't need my life to get any worse. People say it gets better, but that isn't true in my case. It gets worse. Each day I get worse. That's the gist of it. That's why I feel like killing myself. Sorry if that's not a good enough reason for you. It's good enough for me. As for my will, I want 100% of the things that I legally own to be sold, and the money plus the money in my bank to be given to trans civil rights movements and support groups. I don't give a shit which one. The only way I will rest in peace is if one day transgender people aren't treated the way I was. They're treated like humans, with valid feelings and human rights. Gender needs to be taught about in my schools. Gender needs to be taught about in schools. The earlier the better. My death needs to mean something. My death needs to be counted in the number of transgender people who commit suicide this year. I want someone to look at that number and say, that's fucked up, and fix it. Fix society, please. Goodbye, Leelah. That's Leelah's suicide note that she left on her Tumblr page. The next post down is a GIF that says, "All I have to do is jump and then everything is over." She killed herself by jumping in front of a tractor trailer. Further down in Leelah's page, she reblogged a post about suicide. If you were suicidal at all this year or any year in the past and are alive right now for Christmas and New Year's, then I just want to say I'm so freaking proud of you. Me and thousands of other people are. You are amazing, strong, and definitely made the right choice. Please make the right choice next year and in all the years to come as well. Merry Christmas. And why did Leelah have to die? Why do all the transgender people who commit suicide have to die? As a demographic, transgender people commit suicide more than any other group. Why? In Leelah's case, and I'm sure in a lot of other cases, they feel hopeless. And they feel like if they take their own life, then people will wake up. People will understand that you can't disrespect people. I'm sure Leelah's parents are gonna wake up. Did she have to die? Probably not. Her death makes a huge impact. And it's really sad. Why is our society so hateful towards trans people? Why is our society so hateful towards anybody who's different? Why? It doesn't need to be that way. I love you, Leelah Elkhorn. I didn't know you, but people will remember you.